Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Wow. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and welcome to Success Mentorship class number 408. Wow. You know, each week we come together to share ideas, and I'll talk sometimes and then others speak. But one of the things that I really feel about this group is that we are able to communicate and enrich each other's lives. That's powerful, folks. When you can enrich other people's lives, it does something to you. And so, as I look at where we are this Christmas, this year, I want to say Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Happy New Year as the new year approaches, and give thanks that you have been with us and a part of this journey for this year and many of you for many years in the past. I thank you for that because it's rare that you can get a group of really, really conscious people together on a certain vibration, on a certain in a meeting at 8 a.m. in the morning, and for the people in California at 5 a.m. in the morning, but to come together for a good purpose and to share their information, share their knowledge, share all of their good stuff. Let me see. I just hit something funny. So, once again, this is Dr. Herbert Harris. We're closing out the year, and our topic for today is the final stretch. The final stretch. And the subtopic is the final stretch is the setup for your new vision. And so before we get started and get into this message, let's just take a nice pause to connect to the moment, to align with the vibration of the message, and to close out all the things that are outside and not congruent with where we are. So let us sit straight up in our seat. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Let it out slowly. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Let it out slowly. And in this state of peace and relaxation, we affirm, I am at peace with myself. Let us affirm that together. I am at peace with myself. And just let that peace sink in. And in this state of peace and relaxation, my mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Let us affirm that together. My mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Let that sink in. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Let it out slowly. And so it is. Wow. This Christmas has been amazing, and I hope each and every one of you enjoyed it. I know that for those of you who are part of the graduates of the New You for the New Year Transformational webinar, and those who took our Making the 12 Universal Laws of Success Work for You, I know that you all are on the track. You know, the group coming out of the New You for the New Year webinar, we're on a 21-day track. And I'll tell you something, folks. The moment you get on a focused track, the moment you have a stated intention of the things you have to do to become the person you want to be, amazing things happen. And so as we get into our dialogue after the talk this morning, we're going to share some of the feedback on that. And this talk segues exactly into where we are right now this year. So this is Success Mentorship class number 408. And the topic for today is the final stretch. And I call it the setup for your new vision. One of the interesting things about, we call it the final stretch, is that it happens every year. It's that time where if you were in a race, if you ever go to the horse races, whatever happens, as they say, on the far turn and in the back and the back stretch, all those things are fine. But it's when the horses come into the final stretch that makes all the difference. In other words, the race is lost or won in the final stretch. A horse can lead all the way around the back, and we see it all the time. Horses will lead the race, and they'll come into that final stretch, and they'll be coming down the straightaway, and a horse will come from behind and run right by him. And so when you really look at this idea of the final stretch, it's not only an experience, but it's also a strategy. Each one of those jockeys has to plan where he wants that horse to be when they come into the final stretch. And then once they come into the final stretch, they have to have enough energy, enough desire, will to win. And that's really where we are right now. At the end of each year, we often come into the same vibration. Dr. Rogers on Instagram says we have 6 days left, Doc. Okay, 5 days left to the end of the year. 5 days left. And so if this were a football game, they call it the 2-minute drill. This is when you do those things that you know how to do, that you're good at. This is when you have your predetermined plays. This is not the time to be experimenting with new stuff. This is not the time to waste time. This is not the time to be, let me neaten up my office and get ready for next year. No. This is the time to be flat out, to put the pedal to the metal, to come on in and take yourself to a level that wherever you are, wherever you finish this year is where you start next year. And so this final stretch is critical. So there are really 4 key points that I want to share with us. Number 1, take honest inventory of where you are. The GPS analogy always works. We are traveling now, and although we've come to our daughter's house many times, I always use my GPS because sometimes I miss the turn. There's so much construction along the highways these days that you may drive along in a building that used to be there, a landmark is no longer there, and now there's an apartment house. So I still use my GPS even though I know where I'm going because it backs me up. It makes sure that I get to the right place at the right time. And so this idea and that GPS requires 2 things. It requires a destination and it requires a location. And so going into this final stretch is to take an honest inventory. Don't put it off like we have 5 days left. Take an honest inventory because you can't finish strong if you can't see clearly. You cannot finish strong if you can't see clearly. So when the horses come into the final stretch, the only thing they have, many of them have blinders on. They don't want you to see the horse to the left, the horse to the right. They don't want them to get distracted in any way. What they want them to be is focused on the goal, on the finish line, focused on winning. And so taking stock, taking honest inventory of where you are right now is really about being honest with yourself. If you haven't done stuff that you should have done, then what do you have to do to compensate? If there's something you need to do more of, step up your game in, then so be it. But you can't do that unless you review where you are right now, objectively. Even going back, in the New You for the New Year webinar, we did a whole piece, part 1 of the webinar is assessing your present location. And we did a complete evaluation of last year. The Ben Franklin method, looking at your wins, the things you did well. And then there's never a loss. There's only a lesson. Never say I lost. Say, hey, I learned what not to do. And so as a result of all of this, you now look at what's working, what's not working, what's left undone, what things keep repeating. One of the interesting things about getting into the final stretch is your habits have a way of pulling you down, like a habit of procrastination. You'll come in the final stretch and that thought will jump in your mind. It's like, wow, it's only 5 days left. You know, Let me just enjoy the holidays and be with the family. And that's important. But the mindset is if there's only 5 days left, then it's like, what can I do to make a difference? You'll find that many patterns that we demonstrate are the same patterns, especially in the final stretch, are the same patterns that have held us back over the year. And so when you take this final assessment of where you are right now, you really want to measure results and not intention. That's a powerful thought. To measure results. Sandra always says, did it make money? Did you get the desired results? So in the final stretch is all about results. What can you get done over these next 5 days? Being aware of your shortcomings, being aware of what does not work, being aware of what does work, really sets the stage for change. You can't change until you're aware of your need for change, and you'll only be aware of that when you face the truth about where you are. So that's step one. Take that honest inventory of where you are right now, what you have available right now, what's working and what's not working right now, because you're going to go to step two as a result of this assessment. And that is this: release whatever no longer serves you. In the final stretch, it's often not about what to do or what to do more of. It may be about what to stop doing. Sometimes it's about letting go. When you come into that final stretch, it may be time to let go of trivial pursuits. It may be time to let go of watching the games. Herman was sharing how his life turned around when he stopped watching so much TV. And so as you come into these final days, what do you need to let go of to help you get where you want to be? What outdated strategies? I have a strategy sometimes depending on rest. Sometimes I need a certain amount of rest. Well, in the final stretch, you need every waking hour to be able to do something, to perform one of the tasks that you have that will lead you to your goals for this year, for this period. And so look at some of those outdated strategies, get rid of them, drop them. You may have some commitments that really don't work for you. It's funny how when you have the final stretch and then you have the holiday season superimposed on it, you'll find a lot of commitments. We're having a party here. There have been like at least 4 Christmas parties that I did not attend. Why not? Because I didn't have time to. I attended one. Actually, I attended 2. But the 2 that I attended were strategically important. You hear what I'm saying? The 2 that I attended were strategically important, one to my business and one to a very personal relationship, a good friend who's going through a tough time. So get rid of outdated strategies, get rid of, I call them misaligned commitments. It's not that they're good or bad, it's just that they're not in alignment with where you're going and what you're doing right now. Because in the final stretch, you have to be focused on the finish line. When you focus on the finish line, it fires you up. You see, your desire is to a large extent impacted by your vision. If you can see the goal, if you can see how your life would change if you achieve that goal, it can make you much more powerful in creating a relationship between you and your goal. It's like when that horse comes in the final stretch, if you watch those winners, you'll see one that was leading the pack, and you see a horse come up in the middle of the track. He's maneuvered, he's prepared for the stretch, comes into that stretch, and all he's got to do is make sure that there's enough real estate between that horse and the finish line for him to pass everybody there. And you see it. Those horses come down that track and they get that stride going into the finish line. The one who's been the front runner runs out of gas, they're tired, and they get passed by somebody who had a better strategy, who had a better plan. And so release what no longer serves you. Get rid of baggage so that you can execute these final days, the final stretch, with absolute efficiency. Third key to the final stretch, to closing out strong, is focus on high impact activities. In other words, don't spend dollar time doing penny jobs. I'm going to say that again. Don't spend dollar time doing penny jobs. There are two things. Joyce Christie is on here today, and Joyce will talk to you. She does a whole talk about IPAs, income producing activities. Many of us are entrepreneurs. And if we focus on income producing activities, we will make money. But if we spend our time on non-income producing activities, we will not make money. And I like to add to income producing activities, RPAs, results producing activities. So many things that happen in life, many things of importance, don't have a necessary relationship with income, but they have impact. They have results. And so in the final stretch, focus on results producing activities, RPAs, whether it's creating more money, whether it's creating more focus, whether it's creating more stronger relationships, whatever they are, focus on those key relationships. Identify that 20%. The 80-20 rule says that 80% of the results are a result of 20% of the efforts. And so focus on the 20%, those efforts that give you more bang for the buck, those efforts that leverage your presence, that leverage your power. That 20% may mean delegating, may mean getting help. That 20% may mean looking at everything from a priority point of view and say, okay, this can be done next week. This can be done next month. This doesn't even need to get done. But when you can go through and look at those high impact activities, that gives you the ability now to narrow your focus. See, look, there are 4 high impact things that I need to be doing over these next five days. 4 things. And so everything else push it aside. It doesn't need to be done now. In that time priority, we have the idea of how to use your time most effectively. And the time question is always, what is the best use of my time right now when I consider my goals, my vision, and my purpose? And so narrow your activities so that you can now focus on those daily activities that are decisive. Those daily activities make a big difference. Those daily activities that are consistent. Consistent daily activities get more results than massive activity at a particular point in time and space. When you're studying for a final and you're there, and the night before the final, what do you call it? What's it? Cramming. That was the word we used to use. Cramming. And what are you doing? You're not learning. You're trying to cram information into your head so that you can spit it out on the test, on the final test. Well, if you were focusing on the 80-20 rule, then you would look at what 20 percent of things should be done now to get the results that I desire. And you'll find that consistent daily action, if you only have 5 days left this year, fine. Let's break those 5 days down and lay out a 5-day strategy. Don't wait until December 30th to be running around like a chicken with your head cut off. Break it down into 5 days of high impact activities, stuff that's going to make a difference. I have a friend, and I'll call it, this is the time when you start thinking about high impact activities to start thinking in non-linear terms. What do you mean? Non-linear terms. As a network marketer, there's always an equation. If I call X number of people, I'll get Y of them as prospects. If I have Y number of prospects, if I put them through the presentation of our program, then I'll have Z people who join the program, who sign up and enroll. And then out of those who enroll, I'll have double A number of them who will actually do something. So those are your numbers. That's linear thinking. But nonlinear thinking is where you say, man, my goal is so big. I had a friend many years ago, and I worked for Reverend Ike. We went to the Black Expo. And we go there, and Reverend Ike's looking, and he sees all these people, like predominantly black people, like looking good, smelling good, buying stuff. And so he asked the guy, he says, Jerry Roebuck. He says, Jerry, he says, how many people come through here over the weekend? He said, at least 75,000. And so Reverend says, do you capture their name and addresses? We hadn't gotten to the internet yet. Okay. And Jerry hadn't thought about it. Well, some of them. So you should do that. Well, one of the associates around picked up on the idea and captured the names and addresses of all those people who came to the Black Expo, not just in New York, but in Philadelphia, in Detroit, in Chicago, and Atlanta. And he put together this massive database of, you might say, middle-class black buying public. He's at a point and he's like, what am I going to do with this? Number one, nobody knows who I am. And so linear thinking would say, you need to build up your repertoire. You need to do this. You need to do that. Non-linear thinking, you know what he did? He sent 50 letters. He developed a one-page letter, and he sent 50 letters to the top corporations. The thought is, non-linear thinking is like, a no is a no. I'd rather get a no from a person that can really help me than a no from somebody who may not be able to help me, who's just going to humor me. So he sends 50 letters to the top corporations, and he got one response. But that one response was one of the biggest corporations in the country. I'll just give you the name of General Foods. Okay. And they responded. They called him in. He did a presentation. And he went in with the expectation of, he wasn't sure he was going to win, but the one thing he had in his mind, he said, if the question comes up, how much will my services cost? He said he had in his mind $30,000. I think that was the balance on his mortgage. Okay. He goes in, he does the presentation. They love it. Like, great, we'll do it. We'll send the check to get started. He gets a check for $300,000 because General Foods had 10 divisions, and they wanted to implement in his program in each division for each one of their product lines. So that's nonlinear thinking, okay? And so at this time of the year, it might be the idea, like, who do I need to send a letter to telling them this is what I do? To let them know I have something that may be useful for them. So nonlinear thinking will tell you to do the big stuff, to shoot for the top. As Les used to say, if you shoot for the stars, at least if you hit the moon, the worst thing that happens is you got off the ground. Number 4, cast the vision forward. Now, this is something I want to go into a little minute, because you don't finish the year as who you were. you really finish the year is who you're going to become. In other words, if you're up at 8 o'clock this morning listening to these words, then you're a very special person. You're someone that's saying, look, whatever it takes, I'm ready to do it. I need more instruction. I need more fellowship. I need more connectivity. Whatever I need more of it, I'm here and I'm clear. And so when you focus on the person you're going to become, I like to call it focus on the champion nature in you. So as Muhammad Ali said, I am the greatest, nobody believed it, but he focused on it. So you want to anchor your intentions now as you're coming into the final stretch on not just winning, but what winning really means to you. This is what I mean. Coming into the race, when the person hits the final, when that horse wins, see not just the finish line, but what all of that means on a personal, emotional level. So now you're horse of the year. So now you get the purse, $2 or $3 million. So now your trainer's trainer of the year. So now you get invited to the Hall of Fame events. So now your phone is ringing off the hook. Come train my pony. Okay. And so when we say to cast your vision forward in the final stretch, when you see the impact of what will happen if you accomplish what you set out to do, it does something to you. Because the dream now, just seeing and visualizing a big dream, you literally put an energy out there, a vibration out there. You've planted a vibrational seed because the clearer you can see it, the more powerful that seed is. And that dream begins to pull you along. You begin to taste what it's like to walk across the stage to receive the Grammy. You begin to feel what it's like to be able to write a check for anything you want. You begin to enjoy cruising down the Nile and watching the pyramids. And so this thought now, the finish line is not just the finish line, it's who you will become as a result of your tenacity, as a result of your activities, as a result of seeing yourself as the person you want to be. And in the process of seeing that and acting on it, you become it. And so when I said the final stretch is really about the setup for your new vision, it truly is, because what you will find is as you execute over the final stretch, as you become that person that says, I got to do it. And our new you for the New Year class, we say, look, every day and every way, I'm getting better and better. Then I'm calling my accountability partner every day. We're not talking about the weather. We're saying this is the IPAs I did. These are the RPAs that I did today to facilitate my victory in 5 days. We're doing it for 21 days. We get back together on January 10th. So the point is that the final stretch is where the greatness comes out in you. You watch a football game, and I used to love Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry he got hurt. But how in the last seconds he would do the unexpected. Yeah, I remember that game, and he was hurt, he was limping, so nobody expected him to run. They covered all the passes, and he ran right in for the touchdown. So the final stretch for you, each and every one of you on here today, and those of you who are listening on YouTube, and those who will listen in the future, the final stretch is any time you really want to get something done. You can create a final stretch for yourself in the middle of June if you want. It's a mindset that says, number one, I take inventory. I'm honest with myself. This is where I am. This is what I have. These are my shortcomings. These are the things that need to change. Number two, to release what no longer serves you. You know, thoughts that don't serve you, emotions that don't serve you, habits that don't serve you, relationships that don't serve you. There can be a lot of people around who don't believe in you, who don't lift you up, who don't see you moving to your higher good. Release them. Number three, to focus on those high impact activities. When we have that mindset that we focus on the high impact activities, you get high impact results. You focus on small things to build your strength. You focus on big things to get results. The two are necessary. The Bible says, entrust a man with small things, and that will prepare him to handle big things. And so now is your time to focus on those high impact activities, the small ones, the medium ones, the bigger ones. And then finally, cast that vision forward to see beyond the finish line. When you're in martial arts, as one of those people who break boards, bricks, they always focus beyond the board, beyond the bricks. They see their hand on the other side of the board. They see the bricks crushed down beneath them. And so when you can have that type of forward vision, what you see becomes the seed for what you be. Bad grammar, but great reality. And so using these 4 principles, the final stretch is in your hands. One decision away to get started, to keep going, and to win. Gandhi said the world works like this. Whenever you strike out on a path, at first they laugh at you. And you keep pushing, and then they fight you. But if you keep fighting, and then you win. So this Merry Christmas, this New Year, a new you is born. And it's time to take that new year to the new reality. It's always been waiting right there in your mind. So that you can be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and have anything you desire. Always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is. Just take a deep breath for a moment. Let it out slowly. Thank you so much on Instagram. Thank you so much on YouTube. And those in our mastermind group, I can't wait for the discussion and to hear some of your victories as you close out this year and to hear some of your dreams as you keep striving and pushing. Those of you in the New You for the New Year Transformational webinar, I take my hats off to you. Thank you so much. Your certificates are there, done and on the way to you. I am looking forward to the next 90 days of running. And those of you who didn't get a chance to take the webinar, we have a home study course version. And if you get the home study course, as to make a commitment, make a decision, we'll pull you into the New You for the New Year, our group. We have a group now, an accountability group that's going to be, for the next 90 days, we're going to be burning rubber. And so you can go to newyouforthenewyear.com, www.newyouforthenewyear.com, and it'll take you to our Great Discovery website. Those of you who may be in the Great Discovery, you can go into your own website. But it's a course there called New You for the New Year Home Study Course, www.newyouforthenewyear.com. It's $77, but I'll tell you, it'll give you the tools to help you be, do, and have anything you desire. So once again, thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Know this, that you have the power to be anything you want to be, do anything you want to do, and have anything you desire, always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is.